Welcome back, everybody, to the Calvary Podcast. My name is Hector Quito. I have the pleasure of being with my friend Victor Zabala. He's a friend. We talked, but we just met a few minutes ago. But I'm just glad that he's here with us. He's here to help us in the music for our 40th anniversary explosion. So that's happening this weekend. So I'm glad to have him here. Before we just get into talking with him, I invite you to share this. I invite you to like this. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. Give us a 5-star review on any platforms that you may listen to us. And I also invite you to follow us on social media. We're doing a lot of stuff on our social media. But without further ado, Victor, how are you?
I'm great. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, you said this is your second time here, or
It is.
your second time?
It's my second time. I can't give you a specific day. I mean, it wasn't too far ago, but this is my second time. First time, though,
In this church.
in this church.
In this church.
So
I was trying to give you a tour before, but I guess we didn't even have time for that. But
we'll get to it.
you're helping us with the music. You're playing the guitar and then singing. How do you feel about that?
Well, even the first time that I was here, it's always a privilege.
Yeah.
Just because it's always a privilege to be able to be a part of something. So I feel awesome. It's exciting.
How do you feel jumping in without? Because you didn't have a chance to practice. You're in Florida, we're here. How do you feel just jumping in?
It's like I got into the mindset of a musician's mindset. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, it's like a traveling musician.
Yeah.
And so at least, I got the chords and everything else, but it's like we all have different styles and plays. So at least I'm the kind of person I'm going to listen, I'll comply and work together. But it was new. It was definitely new, especially when you asked me, play the guitar. I'm like, well, it's not I mean, I know how to play it, but it's not like the necessarily strong suit. But, it's when there's an opportunity, you got to get prepared for it. So
What's your strong suit? What's your main?
My forte is, I've always said this, it's piano.
Yeah.
But honestly, at this point, I feel like singing is my forte.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just, I feel like I can grow in the singing aspect. Piano's the instrument where I started. Let's basically say that. That's my first instrument. But, I say between piano and singing.
It's going to be interesting because I do have another male singer, but it's been a while since in my church, it's been a while since I've been a male singer, but that's going to be interesting. But have you had a chance, I don't know if you have, but how does, our church music differ from your church music? What are the contrasts? What are the similarities that you find? I don't know if you had a chance.
Yes, I had the chance. I even told myself when, given the opportunity, I was like, I'm going to listen to them to see how it goes. But at the same time, I kind of was like, I'm going to put myself to the test.
Yeah.
And let me not. And so I listened to a couple of the videos on Instagram. And I mean, honestly, you guys have a great band. It sounds great. And similarities, it's the style, the music that it's played, Hispanic churches and everything else. I think that's the similar part. So that's why it'll be easy to work. Differences, I think the only difference is once you're there, I think you'll find a difference. I don't necessarily see a difference really.
Okay.
At least not yet. That's what.
At
least not yet.
So playing guitar today, singing on Sunday. How did just to get into some just other topics, but how did it all start for you? Your background in music and the ministry and all that.
So with music, once I arrived to the United States, my father bought me a piano. It was a small piano, and I used to practice it every single day. I loved it. I used to just play it by myself. And there's 3 kind of little classes. You put level 1, and any key that you play the song. You stay on C, and it goes dee 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 dee. And so okay, great, but I think my ear was capturing it. Then level 2, it's it won't let you play any other note until you actually play it. And so self-taught piano. At some point in churches or even at home, I would play coritos and everything. And once I got to high school, I was a jazz band. That's actually a funny story. But then I moved to for example, ministry. it just something clicked in high school because, in high school you're always pressured and like, what are you gonna do? What's your career? What's your life? And it just hit me, and I'm like, I've always loved music. I'm always surrounded by music, and it's always grabbed my interest. I was like, I just literally clicked, like, I'm gonna do this. And not only at that point, later on, I would realize it is part of my ministry. So I was like, I want to go there. I want to grow there. And so I'm here in ministry. But the high school part is the funny story.
The jazz band?
Yeah, because when I made that click, I think it was like freshman year. And so what happened was I went to the people that signed you up for class, and I'm like, I would like to be part of a class that teaches me piano. I want a piano class for high school. Like, okay, cool, fine. And then so school starts in August, and I look at the class. It's my last period in high school. Like, okay, great. All right, here we go. And so I get there. I'm telling you, I get there, and I see a lot of kids come in, and it's a big, room, the band room. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, how you doing? How are you, Victor? Yeah, I'm here for the piano class. Like, yeah. Let me see. Okay, this is the class, yeah. So everybody starts lining up, the jazz ensemble. You got the winds, the saxophones in the rhythm section. I'm sitting there, and they start playing a song, just a jazz song. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. I wonder when's the piano class. And they play another song, and it's like, piano player, are you ready to play your part? And I'm like, I'm sorry, wait a minute. I did it. But before that, I was sitting there, and I'm like, wait. I look at the paper, and I look at the classes, and I'm like, I'm in a band class. I didn't ask for this. I asked for just a specific piano class. But then when I realized, and I'm like, I went up to the teacher, and I'm like, I think I'm in the wrong class. I'm like, no, you're in the right class. I asked, just a piano. I hope I'm not like, I can't believe my honesty, even at that young age. And I was like, I don't know if I'm a good fit. I don't know anything about jazz. And honestly, the jazz teacher, even at that point, he was just like, listen, don't worry about it. Don't stress out. Sit, listen. And ever since then, not two things. That like helped me grow in my musical aspect. I learned to love jazz, and I love jazz ever since, jazz rhythms and everything. But that's where it took me to another level. So I was just like, it's funny how I wanted something, but something else came about. Yeah. And so that's where the jazz part, and that's where musically talented, and I'm not even like, trust me, I still got a lot to learn. But that helped me so much in ministry, the musical part of it. So
there's a difference between a good song for church service and a good song just to listen to. But with that, what's your style? It doesn't have to be church music. What music attracts you? What rhythm attracts you?
Rock.
Yeah.
I like rock.
Yeah.
I like rock. If you put it in categories, I really like rock. I definitely like those good guitar riffs. It's awesome. And then jazz. But jazz is so open because with jazz, there's Latin feels. And I'm Hispanic. There's Latin feels like salsa and everything else, merengue. We use merengue and salsa for church. Mm-hmm. With jazz, there's also that gospel feel. And when I say jazz, I mean more in the mindset of the rhythms, the chords, and everything. So, but definitely rock. I like rock.
Do you ever incorporate that in your music?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of contemporary rock nowadays. As a Hispanic church, we all play a lot of the similar music, and we're all striving to do new things. But we love good corridos. We love good, Latin feel songs. But when it comes to rock, I just love the straightforwardness of it. I don't know why. It's just, yeah.
Now, just jumping into another question, we talk a lot about music and the importance of it. But what is the difference to you in just being a member of a worship team? Because I know you lead your worship team, and being a worship leader. What's the difference to you? When did you know? When did you know? How did you differentiate that in your ministry? Like, okay, I'm not just part of a worship team. Okay, I'm actually leading worship. What can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think here's actually the funny part. As weird as it sounds, I've never been a part of a worship team where I had one specific role. So I've never been just like, you're just a piano player, or you're just a guitar player. my home church in Sarasota where I started, it was just me leading worship, and it was just me for years. Excuse me. And I mean, like, just playing piano, leading worship. So I've always had the mentality of leading worship. And when I came to where I am now in Tampa, now I'm part of a team, and the mentality has always been that it's never been one. And now because I was part of a team, I knew there's something more important to it. And I mean, this is a process of years, where, we're not just there as a sole person instrument. I've seen other people. That's why I've seen other people the way that they are, where they come, they're doing their part in their instrument. And my position has always been, in one way or another, God has, helped me to understand that this isn't just about a one person thing. This is about being a part of a group. And even if I was a one person piano player at my home church, I've always got to a point where, like, I would lead the church and say, hey, we're all leading worship right now. Let's lead worship to the Lord. Let's sing together. Let's praise God. So I've always had that mentality. So I think I've started seeing it when I was leading a team. This person's just coming to play bass, or this person's just coming to play drums. And there's a lot to where I've been through, where it's a process. It's so the mindset for me has always been, it's just a group thing. So it's hard to kind of balance it out, really. Yeah. I've never really have had a job individually in part of a team where somebody else was, leading us. So
how do you, because, I believe music, you should not just sing, not just play your instrument, but minister to people through that song, minister sometimes through that melody, ministers through that rhythm. How do you prepare yourself for that on a weekly basis? How do you handle that, in your church?
So this is actually something that part of the seminar that I've actually prepared, and one of it is just worshiping at home at all times, at all moments, and I don't know how to say it in English, but the book of Psalms, bendeciré a Jehová en todo tiempo, su alabanza estará de continuo en mi boca. And so when I start, I listen to music and I get into it. Oh. I don't listen just to, Christian music just because it's good for me, but I'm a part of it. As a musician, is also like in the worshiper, you put a song by, I don't know, let's just say Israel, home, and then, but like you feel like you're there, you feel like you're a part of it, and I'm in the car and I'm like singing, and and that drives me to personally have a connection right there. I'm worshiping God. I'm not just singing a song about my day in work. I'm actually spending some time to where I'm singing towards the Lord. I feel like I'm getting connected more to the Lord, and that's what helps me. And I do that on a daily basis to connect, to be able to do it with my team, then to be able to lead the church to be able to do it. And even, sometimes you don't even feel something, but it's the mentality where you got to start, where get connected with it, do it, sit in the piano, minister, just try to do it and connect at it, worship. I think worshiping is a lifestyle, not just in terms of music. But you need to at least have some kind of, I think you need to have a moment of worship on a daily basis where you're actually stopping and worshiping God.
Is there, has there been any bad services?
I think we all can say yes. I mean, for me, oh, absolutely.
How do you deal with that? That's like, how do you, afterward, like, because it messes with you, right?
Oh my gosh. Well, there are bad services internally, personally, and there's bad services. There can be bad services for many reasons. And I feel like, I've been there personally. I'm going to be honest. When you're not prepared, you can be talented and you can practice the piano part. But when you're just not prepared and you really haven't prayed for it and everything, there's just this cold. You don't ever want to be there. There's this just cold, and this happened a few years ago, where it's like, I don't ever want to be in this place. But there's also been bad services to where a part of someone in the team, and you don't even know who, but it's just like, you find out later, like they're going through something. I'm like, oh boy. things kind of go south, something in the music, how do I deal with it, or how do I react? Where did the problem initially start? Is it you? Is it somebody else? Is it just a musical thing? Is it just a church? Are they worshiping? There's so many aspects of it. Just knowing where it is. Where's it coming from? Because a lot of us, we need to, I think you need to recognize, like, okay, if it's you, you're going to know it's you. Like, you just feel like, oh, this is just stale. I'm telling you, you don't ever want to be there. You don't ever want to be there. So.
Any recent ones?
No, actually, no. There hasn't been recent ones. And like we spoke a little bit earlier, because of the worship team that I'm leading right now, they're starting out. And, learning how to guide the team, when to go to the next song and stuff like that. It can hinder a little bit, but not to the point where, like, okay, this is a bad service, or not to say a bad service, but this is a bad kind of like starting out in the worship. Because people have it in them. People have that desire and that anointing. You need to help them to not be scared, to move forward in that aspect. So some of the things that actually we do, my pastor noticed it. I noticed it. We have 2 services. So the first service is a lot of new people. A lot of new people don't worship really. In the second service, you got the older people who are really going to worship God. But then we have prayer really early on before that. And so he said, for the new people that are now leading worship, you know what we're going to start doing? And we started doing this. We pray for half an hour, but the first 15 minutes, go up there, just start. You better not wait. Go start worshiping. Start playing the sets, maybe just 2 songs of the set, and start getting into it. Because it's new for them. It's new for them. It hasn't really happened recently where there was like a bad service or anything like that. No. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Do you like a situation where you're just thrown in there? Like, have you ever been in a situation where you're like, hey, do it? Well, I know we did that to you.
Here we go.
Right now, but
this weekend.
Yeah.
I can talk about how this came about with this weekend.
Yeah.
But let's say, for example, in my church, a situation that I've just been thrown. Actually, my whole life, when it comes to worship, the way I started in the worship ministry is that in Sarasota a long time ago, the pastor looked at me. He's like, you know how to play the piano? On that Sunday, he's like, go play keys. And I'm like, huh? Like, I don't know. And then I started playing, and I mean, I messed up. Yeah. And it's always been like that.
It's interesting that you say that, because I think some of the best, I'm going to say like this, some of the best people start off like that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people have that testimony in a way,
because
right?
it speaks to the willingness not to, hey, I have it down correctly, I have it all down perfectly. It speaks to the willingness, hey, I don't have it down correctly, I'm not ready, but I'm going to try, and I'm just going to say yes. And it seems like you have that spirit that, just because you just said you were thrown in there, and a lot of people don't want to be thrown in there. And I think we spoke earlier, off air, that there's a lot of people that have the talent, a lot of people that are probably better than me. I can admit that. Oh yeah, but there's no willingness. So what are we gonna do?
See, and that's the crazy part. Like, even if we think about it, there's so many talented people. And so you ask yourself, and I think a lot of people ask themselves when they're part of a worship team, or even just in general, why me? Like, why? I mean, I'm not even the most talented. I know some concept of music. I love it, and I love music. But I'm not like that person over there. That person knows how to play keys and everything. So, yeah, you ask yourself, why me? But I think, just being able to answer, "Emi aquí," even if you don't know.
Yeah. So how did this weekend play out?
This weekend is when I say this story, when I told this story to like my family and a lot of people. So originally, I knew my pastor was coming to Chicago, right? And I called him, was like, "You gonna go to Chicago?" And I called him, said, "Pastor, I kind of want to tag along." And he said, "Okay, hermano." He wasn't opposed to it, but he said, "Just know that I'm not gonna go there to really vacate. I'm gonna go there, get to preach, and I really just be in the hotel, get ready, start praying." And I was like, "No," and I was like, "No. I mean, I kind of be a part of it. If I could be with you, and I'll pray in my own room and just to be support, right? He's like, yeah. And I said, I don't want to overstep or anything like that, or intrude in your plans. Like, no. Let me see what I can do. I'll talk to hermano Suarez, brother Andrew. I was like, okay, that's fine. Call me later tonight, he says. I didn't call him. I called him the next day. I called him. It's like, Pastor, just calling you about, being able to tag along. It's like, sí, hermanito. My pastor has this low voice, right? Sí, hermanito. And if I want to push this to my brothers and sisters in church in Tampa, this is how he goes. Sí, hermanito. And then he says, yeah, brother Andrew, we got you a room. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really nice. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, and you're also going to teach a seminar. And I'm like, and you're going to help the team out. And I was like, whoa. Like, that's like kind of thrown there as well. Like, this isn't what I was asking. I wasn't asking, like, I was asking to support him, but when he, and it was, but it's all so awesome. It really is, because he said, he would like for you to give you a seminar and to be helping out in the worship over there. It's like, oh, wow. I mean, thank you, Pastor. I mean, this is a great opportunity. Absolutely. As long as you're okay with it. Like, no, hermano, that's fine. Absolutely. And so it doesn't even stop there, right? Yeah. And so he says, just be on the lookout for a phone call from, Pastor Andrew. He's like, okay, you call me. And so when you call me, we start talking. I think there was like a series of phone calls. We're getting to know each other through the phone. And, you asked me, about the seminar. And I was like, absolutely preparing for it and see where God's, going to lead us in this weekend. And then I think there was maybe it was the same phone call or another phone call. And you go, hey, do you sing or play any instrument? And I'm like, yes, I do. It's like, what's your main instrument? I play piano. That's my main instrument. And then any other instrument? I say, I play guitar. He knows because he's the one asking the questions. And so it's like, oh. He's like, do you mind playing guitar for us this weekend? And I'm like, I'm not the, this is where I was honest with you. I was very honest. I was like, I don't mind, not at all. In my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, like more and more it's just like adding up here. And so in my mind, I'm like, I was honest. I'm not the best guitar player. I know how to play chords and everything. I don't know how to play riffs or melodies, but I can play chords and everything. It's like, help us out on the guitar. I was like, oh boy. I've led worship with guitar before. It's like, yeah, absolutely. And, help us sing on Sunday as well. I was like, está bien. All right, gloria a Dios. Absolutely. And even with this podcast, when you asked me to talk in the podcast, just to share my thoughts, it's like, man. So all of this, how this weekend came about, I was just only coming with the mindset of like asking my pastor, can I come just to pray for you, be there, support you, like last time. And even the last time I came here, I even led one song in worship, but still it wasn't like this much. Oh. And, it was like really there, and opportunities, doors open. So it was really awesome because what this situation helped me, and I mean, I know just kind of rambling off from the original question, how this weekend came about, it helped me in a way where there's a lot of things that I know mentally, but it helped me to put them into writing, into perspective, because this is also going to be a blessing to other people, in my church, to be able to help them, give them a seminar and stuff like this. So this is how this weekend came about, not expecting all of this. Just wanted to be in support, but here I am with huge privilege.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to just work together. That's always interesting. Absolutely. But going back to the music, what are some things you avoid in ministry, music ministry? What are some things you stay away from? Or maybe that you did before and you saw that it didn't work? What are some things that you do?
Some things that I stayed away from were, let me see, were some things that I stayed away. I mean, in terms of music or songs, you always have to have an understanding of, I mean, you've always, there have always songs that are like, okay, this song didn't really work out. We're not doing this song. And for any other person, it can work out, but it's just, it could be like songs or anything like that. I wouldn't say what I stayed away from is that like every worship team, they have drama. And I think it's that I have learned to deal with it. So I don't know how to respond to the question to where staying away from something when it comes to the worship team.
Like, I'll just throw you an example because just my mindset of things. And this is not a perfect science. It's not a perfect, but I've been conscious of it. And this is probably going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but I stay away from songs that start with an I perspective and a me perspective. And I stay away from songs that are only there to make you feel good. I mean, they're great to listen to, I guess, but not for a service when we're trying to worship God and we start with I and we start with me perspectives, like songs like that. I avoid those at all costs. And that's why I'm asking, like, are there things that you have? And I'm not saying go ahead, you sing them in your church, but I'm avoiding that.
No, and I think everybody does, and that's a great example because there are songs like that, and they are great songs, and they can work on certain times, but when it comes to worshiping God and having a worship session, and right there in alabanza and worshiping, I mean, I agree. I mean, in terms of staying away from songs like that, yes. I mean, even the pastor said, don't better sing that song. Don't sing that song or don't sing this song. And I'm like, why? And like listen to it, and like when wisdom helps me understand. It's like, okay, I get it. Yeah, because there's a lot of songs where this is, and you can get into so much of this topic where sometimes you're connecting way too much of it on a cultural aspect and too much on the music and carnal aspect. You're not trying to be. You want to worship God, but the song itself is kind of like, it's too, I don't know, just, I don't want to say it this way or in a bad way, like fleshly driven.
Yeah. No, it totally
it's not
is.
like a bad song,
It
but
totally is, yeah.
I don't want to say.
I
don't
mean,
want to mention a song, but like they're good
I can
songs.
mention you songs.
I bet
as
we
well.
can say. I mean,
and
we could be blunt about it, right? But it's like, for example, everybody knows this song, and I think it's an really older song. But if you're there and you're singing "Para machacarle la cabeza down," it's like, oh, that song is awesome. Like but is it like
the focus is wrong?
Yeah.
The focus is completely wrong.
So staying away from it, I agree. I mean, there could be other little things, but that's the only thing that comes to mind. Just songs in particular.
Because even like those songs, I mean, I don't think people would not laugh during a worship service hearing that song. Like how do you deal with that? And so that's why I ask, because music is very much spiritual.
Yes.
Music can change someone's life. Music can drag someone out of the hands of even death and depression, and music can also take you there,
Yeah.
And so that's why I say I'm very passionate about music. Like I won't let it go,
Yeah.
And I'm passionate about worship, but that's why I asked that question, because I'm glad we're on the same page, because there's there's a lot of people that wouldn't agree with that.
And again, on the parts of the songs that are very like I driven, and again, there are good songs, don't get me wrong, and they have worked in certain situations. Like, for example, like altar call, I would say some songs help because it's according to the message. You think about it and you're like, oh, this song kind of works. Not always, but you're right in a sense. You don't want to put that as a worship song. For example, I mean, we already mentioned one song. We might as well just mention another one. For example, there's a good song that I like a lot, but I feel like it's kind of like that self-driven song. It's like, ya no soy un esclavo del temor, yo soy hijo de Dios, yo soy hijo de Dios, yo soy hijo de Dios. And you can even go up singing, y yo solo sé que yo soy su hijo y él es mi padre, right? And the verses are great messages, but you don't want to just make that someone's mentality like, okay, I was lost, but now I'm found. I mean, worship, yes, praise God, but it's always the ending focus is that praise Him.
Yeah.
Praise Him. Because, there are moments where we sing a song, we were dead and everything, but God is, to God be the glory. Really, that's all. At the end, the ending message of every song should be Him. And again, it's not like a bad song. It helps sometimes, but it's just where, like you said, that I-driven. So we can talk more songs and choose songs from this point
I
forward.
can go. I probably have
a lot
list.
of people have.
Yeah, I will.
if this is always like, if this is on YouTube, you can just comment on there like, oh yeah, I can agree.
No, I turn off the comments.
That's a smart idea. Oh my God, that's a smart idea. Yeah.
I just turn off the comments, whatever.
It's not a bad song. Listen, it's a great song. I love it. It's just, in the terms of what we're talking.
It goes back to that thing. There are songs great to listen to, but sometimes I don't want to bring those songs into a service, Yeah. Because you only got, 20 minutes, and you're going to, just input that there.
Yeah.
And speak to that. Like, how long does your worship service go?
It can go from, a standard time is always like half an hour. And we always want to achieve the point of ministering in the moment of worship. It can be 20 minutes, it can be 30 minutes. Maybe if we have something special going on, the pastor always goes, hermanito, just kind of make it just a bit short, 25 minutes or 20 minutes. And so, you put in the mindset, just go with it, go for it. It could be 30 minutes. But yeah, that's the time frame usually.
How many songs do you do? You're going to set? Because I know how to do 20 minutes. I don't know, 30 minutes. How do you...
Well, it can vary. So, like, for example, me growing up, me leading worship, it's always been, I thought, like, a long time ago, it's always been, like, 4 praise songs and 2 worship songs. 4 praise songs. And as time goes by, I'm like, that's a lot of songs.
Yeah.
That's a lot of songs. And then I was just kind of, now, when you put the music part of it, sometimes it takes time. You're making arrangements, making, melodies, introductions, or even transitions, and then it kind of goes down to like 3 songs and 2 worships, or 3 songs and 1 worship. So 30 minutes, I think it's more to when you want to like just add on an additional one, like this is going to work perfect. It's 4 songs. I think this is good. Maybe 4 songs because 1 song is short. So that's why I would say like, 4 songs. So
you ever go too long?
Yeah. Has it happened often? No. It's all in the sense of what's going on at the moment. Going on too long, I mean, it's, again, you have to be open to what's going on. And basically being open to what's going on is that you have to be, in the spirit, ready, wise to, if you have your set list, go with your set list, trust in that what God has given you in that set list is going to work, and that, God is going to minister through that set list, and then someone's going to come up and speak, whether, the person that's going to talk after the worship, the announcement, or, it doesn't really extend. It'll only ever extend if I, for example, me personally, when I lead worship, because again, it's a different moment right now with my team. If I lead worship, I'm always open to what's going to happen. And for the other people, it's not necessarily like, it's not that they're not connected. It's more because it's new to them. We're going to keep them on track to be like, hey, listen, sing the songs, trust that God's going to work with his songs, and just move forward with it.
When you say you lead worship, are you on the mic, at the singing, or a keyboard? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Typically right now, because of the team that we have, I'm in the piano. Very rarely I'm singing by myself and leading worship, but I'm always in the piano with the mic leading worship.
Do you ever just throw in songs and confuse everyone? Like, you do those, we call them Spanish, because I have no idea how you would call them, like Elias Orava, all those songs.
Of course.
Like, do you ever just throw in songs and see what people...
Yeah, of course. It's happened before. But I feel like it's like, well, there's so much things. You're looking at the congregation, and maybe... I trust in the moment that, okay, maybe it seems like it happens a lot in the first service. Okay, maybe it seems like in the worship, a lot of people are new. They haven't really praised. But when we get into the worship, if I am going to add a song, though, let me say that. I do. And if I am, I have to read the room and see what's going on. So if I feel like people need to praise a little more, you can do that very, the pastor always like, not too much. But you can always, guide them to, let's praise one more song, or again the same song, and add another song, and then you see the young people back there like, oh my God, what song is he gonna play? Or I see that, okay, in the worship, I feel like in the worship part of it, in the slow song, let's sing it, and then we can add additional. So yeah, I think you should always be open to that part, adding something depending on what's going on, really.
Now, just to wrap up here in a little bit, but what do you see yourself like in the future? Music, or do you have any other aspirations as far as ministry or?
Yeah, I have, for example, when it comes to music for the worship ministry, one of the things that I've seen as growing up, this is why this weekend is really a blessing in general, is that, as you know, different churches come up, church is growing, people are getting to know Christ. We want people to know Jesus. And when there's a new church, there's always that aspect of, okay, well, who's going to lead worship? People are new to the worship aspect, to the worship ministry. There's a lot of seminars for preaching. There's a lot of seminars and teachings for this. And maybe, I don't personally know, but when there's always these new little churches starting up or new churches starting up, I feel like I'd like to learn to help. And again, it's like I'm not the best, like the most talented person, but I feel that what God has given me, if I'm able to help somebody, awesome. And I'd like to do that in the future. If there's a ministry starting up and if I'm available to help, here I am. I mean, this is what I've learned. This is what I've grown in within the years. In Tampa, I'm doing a lot of things. For example, cell groups. We have cell groups. I'm a cell group leader, and just really helping in the vision of people to know Christ. Really.
Do you see anything we can improve in general? I'm talking about Spanish ministries. Anything we can improve, overall? Because I don't know if you're like me, but I'm sure you scour online to see what other people are doing. Do you see anything we can improve, just as just in general, or?
So, yes, I can definitely say something. I feel like it's all depending on what's going on in the area. For example, Florida, in the Hispanic area, we have, in the Tampa area, there's a lot of churches, four churches in the Tampa area. Down in Florida, I got to remember, I'm not in Florida anymore. I'm in Chicago. So Tampa, Florida, 4 churches. Our church, there's one in a place called Brandon, 20 minutes east. And there's another church, so four. And one thing that I can see is unity. What I have, maybe I can help somebody else in that other church. What that other person has definitely can help me out in some way in our ministry or in our church with this other person, and is doing new things. I would love to. I was speaking to a young man. He's starting out with his father, and they're starting a church in Florida in a place called Riverview. And we talked about, like, we love seeing the YouTube videos with the huddle groups, and let's do something new. I think that's one of the things that we could do different. I have a solid answer. Let's make more music ourselves. Let's start doing more music ourselves. I feel like a lot of people have music themselves. I personally, not the best musician, I'm telling you right now, but I have a lot of songs that I haven't even finished. Like, the voice memos are full with like 20 voice recordings. My notes are full with like lyrics that I feel that God has allowed me to like write. I feel like in the Hispanic thing, let's make more music. Let's make more worship music. I feel like we're kind of getting to it. I mean, here in Florida, that's my case. So,
Yeah.
I think in general.
Yeah. I think.
Wouldn't it be wonderful in your own church that, hey, this is a song that and our team we have made, and you could lead worship to your church, and they praise God. That's something God has given you, so genuine, so new. So
there's a lot of things we can talk about, right? We can just
go on.
I think we touched on good subjects. I'm looking forward to see what we can do together.
Absolutely.
And looking forward to see if we can have you on again. But do you want to give out your phone number to anyone watching, any ladies? I was told to do that.
Are we serious?
I was told to do that. I heard this pastor said he was single, and
yes. I've been single for a long time. Should I? Should I do that?
That's up to you, man.
I don't know. I have an Instagram. I'll definitely do that. I mean, I think a phone number. I mean,
I was just told to do that. I just wanted to do that, but I really enjoyed this conversation. Again, maybe we can talk again, do something else. But
I'd love to.
I really hope that you enjoyed all this, and I encourage you to just share this on our social media pages. Give us a 5-star review, and share. That's really the best way you can help us all. Thank you, Victor, for being here.
No,
and
thank you.
You got Friday to look forward to. You got Saturday to look forward to. Sunday, that's probably going to be the most interesting one because I'm looking forward to that.
I'm excited. I really am. This weekend's going to be a blast. It's
Yeah.
going to be exciting, and God's going to do great things.
So,
I know that.
We'll see you again next week, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thank you.